Good morning. Thank you for coming so early. I feel like I'm a coffee. Hopefully, it will be strong, but unfortunately, without sugar. It seems that sugar in the ICO is already back there in September, maybe October a little bit. Doesn't seem a lot left in November. I have 4 or 5 topics to start it. First, I wanted to calibrate, where we can start technologically. How many of you do not need any introduction to what blockchain is? Okay. So all the others would benefit from it. It takes just 1 minute, but it's necessary to take the right start. Blockchain is not a fintech phenomena. It's a computer science thing. Essentially, that's file, but with very special properties. So you cannot edit it, you cannot delete it. Whatever is there forever. It gives us this feeling of traveling to the past that is not changed. The same is in our lives. So the blocks that are already there, they're there kind of forever, at least so far. This file is, as introduced, is not dependent on any centralized authority. You cannot shut it down. So if your salary is there, it's kind of there forever. And if your browser history would be saved in blockchain, you cannot delete it. Any questions on that? I think that's just good to start to understand that it's publicly visible. Underlying data layer of blockchain is accessible to anybody. Can you access Swedbank servers? Can you access Swedbank database? There, MySQL, Oracle, or... Can you? Except if you work there. In blockchain, you can. Underlying layer is available. ICO stuff. What is the underlying technology there? Blockchain, Bitcoin introduced transactions. Ethereum, that ICOs are run on, introduced logic. So instead of just sending money somewhere, you can decide when, how much, to whom, and on what conditions you would send them. You can send them, this will be stored, and then when third party will send certain message, they will be released, for example. Ethereum has introduced, if Bitcoin has introduced a currency as a medium of exchange off-chain, so you need something from a guy, and you send Bitcoin, and you get something in return. Or you just set fiat money, and you get Bitcoin. Ethereum, and that underpins all the concept of ICO that is necessary to understand to run your own, has introduced the exchange of value on-chain. So you're sending money somewhere, cryptocurrency, and you are getting something in return immediately on the blockchain, tokens. So that's what underpins all the ICOs. It hasn't been possible in Bitcoin, blockchain, so the step further, Ethereum, allows you to do kind of e-commerce or fundraising right on the chain. And all the benefits we mentioned of the blockchain, that it's transparent, so you know how much money these guys have raised. Maybe they tell they raised just 200,000, but in fact they have raised 20 million. You can see how fast they're raising, right? Like, what is an average contribution? Is it private investors sending few ethers, or is it institutional sending few thousand? That all becomes visible. And you shouldn't trust these guys who run ICO on storage of your data. They can lose it if they would run MySQL. They can corrupt it. In blockchain, so far, nobody could change the blocks that have been committed. If you want to run your ICO from A to Z, you have to understand that. So closer to the ICO. Another question, how many of you understand the concept of protocol or FAT protocol as introduced by Joel Monegro more than a year ago? How many have read his article? Yeah, like nobody? Okay. So that's before you start using A and Z to make a story of your ICO, you have to understand how the value is generated in the ICO world or in the blockchain world. And for this, you need to compare let's say, value created in internet, traditional internet, and blockchain applications. In internet, what is the protocol you are using every day? HTTP. Another. Which one?
SHS.
Okay, something else? Anybody using SMTP? Yeah. So some years ago, there was no SMTP. And for example, there was CompuServe emails and Hotmail, and you cannot send emails from one to another, only within your network. So it's like Bitcoin blockchain and Ethereum blockchain. And then protocol helped to make this phenomenon universal. The same HTTP, SSH. How much money the protocol creators of TCP/IP, HTTP, SMTP are making? How rich are they?
Zero.
Yeah. Zero. Zero. So who is making money in the internet? So if you think about the value layer, so that's zero. That's protocol that is underpinning everything. And the applications, Facebook, Google, whatever, LinkedIn, by having a proprietary technology, closed databases, they're creating certain value for them. Blockchain. What is the capital? Well, okay, that's foundation, but there are some companies like Ripple. They have certain market value. Their value is generally stems from how many protocol tokens they are owing. Because in the blockchain, that's a protocol that takes maybe 80 or 90% of the value generation. So if you want to use Bitcoin, it's not the guy who has invented wallet. Or if you want to use Ethereum, it's not my Ether wallet that is open source and is available in GitHub, unlike Facebook applications, for example. Not they are creating value for them, but the holders of protocol currency, because to use a protocol, you have to use protocol token. And the more adoption protocol gets, the more consumer-facing applications are out there, the better they are in training, education, and marketing of their protocol, the more value it brings to the early contributors or investors who got these tokens when they were some cents, maybe a few dollars. So that's important things to understand before you start to do your ICO. What are you selling? Because generally people are coming from internet and they want to sell the platform or an application. Only later they realize that maybe they have to figure out something about protocol. So about Publica, the first protocol for decentralized publishing. Why publishing? I don't know, maybe somebody is coming from publishing, they can tell their story. But generally, if you want to publish, you have two general options. Either you go for a large publisher and tell, I have a great idea, here is a manuscript. That, okay, maybe you just stand in the line, maybe I will call you. So there are a lot of gatekeepers, you know, amazing stories like Harry Potter and Rowling, like she couldn't find any publishers. There are hundreds more like this. And if you find, you sign a contract that gives you from 8 to 15% of your future earnings. And this guy is generally not good in digital publishing, not in ebooks. If not, if you want, you can go self-publish. It's an option. So you just go to Amazon and upload your manuscript there, and then you stop writing and start marketing. And then generally your literary work might be low quality because there is no editor, no proofreader, no cover artist. There are not all these things that large publishers are delivering. And all these guys, they would want to cooperate with you, but they don't have a clear framework. Because unlike in blockchain, they don't know how many copies you will sell. Because this information is proprietary to, say, Amazon platform. So what we are doing? And it's very simple, very short, because entire Bitcoin white paper has been 5 or 8 pages, not unlike current ICOs doing 100 or 120. Our protocol allows author to sell directly to a reader. Not directly like with credit card, because still you have Stripe, you have banks, It's wallet to wallet, it's books over IP. Can you sell a book? Maybe we didn't figure out how, so we are selling an access key. Not a license, because a license is not something you own. It's a right to use something, and then you buy something in Kindle in the US, you go to Norway, you open it, sorry, no books, not available for Norway. Yeah, it's an user license agreement. So we introduced some kind of hard deliverable, a token, an access key, conceptualized like a token in Solidity, stored in Ethereum blockchain in a mapping, with a public key of the reader. And then there is a linkage between this public key, this access key to a book, and a decentralized storage where this book has been introduced by the author. So it's irrevocable. As we discussed initially, nobody can take away your token, your access key from a book. And once the book content is introduced to decentralized storage like IPFS or upcoming Swarm by Ethereum, it's there kind of forever because it sits on the blockchain in some past blocks. And as Publica is a protocol, so we are creating this core and all the consumer-facing applications that are white-labeled and open source because we want traditional ink readers to integrate the wallet module that is necessary to actually buy and sell stuff and store them. And use Publica protocol because it will create value for the early contributors because the more you use it, so why it's beneficial for authors? They can get direct payments real time. They shouldn't wait while Amazon will reconcile their accounting or publisher will do a quarterly or annual report and pay them. Instant transactions, they get paid instantly. They can sell worldwide, there are no limits. They can store and distribute their literary works not in a platform walled gardens, but in a storage that is immutable for censorship and tampering, so their work will stay intact forever. They can edit it and then they can update the link. But the previous version will always stay. Some authors might hate their work, so they want to delete it. They will not be able. Your ownership of this book is forever. You have this token, and this token allows you to access this content in decentralized storage. Readers also support this idea because they want direct relationship with an author. And as far as economy concerns, this token is the same token that people use in ICO. So an author with an idea, like Rowling for Harry Potter, they can just go there, set up the contract in our system, set up the protocol, and do a pre-sale for their access keys, for their tokens, before they have any book. If they have a large base of supporters, they will get the funding necessary, and then they can afford all these proofreaders, editors, and marketing support for their book, for example. So they can run ICO for books, because they will sell access keys from not yet existing literary works that hopefully will eventually be released, and people will be able to use it. There are also, Bitcoin is said to be very libertarian, and libertarians like the idea that once some information is deployed there, it's not available to really revoke it or censor it or close it. It's decentralized. Author essentially has a small e-commerce application that lasts forever. They cannot revoke it. Yes, they are the owners of this smart contract, but they cannot, by virtue of Solidity code, they cannot kill it. So it will work forever. And about ICO, the moment X, when money comes. We started it in August. We had several iterations, and our most recent white paper is number 5. You are still learning. Like, this is exciting process when you start with an idea, and then you learn, and then you change your ideas, and you learn further, and again you change your idea. You change your website, you change your copy, so you have to have a good team behind you or be a coder yourself. And we have collected an amount of subscribers. We invested maybe 10,000–20,000 in advertising, got some 3,000 subscribers. To whitelist, they told we want to contribute approximately this much. And if we take even very pessimistic estimate of how much they really contribute, I mean, they would contribute, yeah, then we would get $8 million. Very pessimistic. And then day X comes. You open your pre-sale. How much do you get? We got something like 100,000. They were contributors of 30,000, 25,000, 10, but a bit more than 100,000. Not at all close to 8 million. So first advice, if I may, is that whenever somebody is interested in your ICO, set up your sales in a way that you can sell your tokens instantly. Don't wait 1 month or 2 months. They might spend their money, they forget about you, they see that the tokens they bought previously, they go to exchange and they don't go like this, they go like that. So what is going on right now? Right now we're in the middle, we have got about 250,000, and when I see some neighbors in neighboring countries, it doesn't seem really so bad, because some people, they get just a few thousand, some 6-7 transactions. And general statistics show that success rate in November was about 3 to 5%. The bad thing about your ICO is that you find like-minded community. You find people who really love your idea, not their idea. Like usually people love their ideas, but they like your idea. And they want to support you, they want to do reviews, they want to introduce you to investors, they want to advise you, they want to do anything because you touch their heart. And they want to see your idea going live. And they want to be part of it by co-investing, because they feel that they are beneficiaries, right? They are token holders, and they want this ecosystem to prosper. I think the best if you would spend the remaining time by asking questions, because I mean, you know the figures, you know something about it. So if you want to ask some very how many tokens? The token issuing function is based on dollar value, so we don't have. We don't have pre-minted amount, and then we burn, not bought. We will just mint it when we receive enough funds, and then we just mint it based on the price of them, 10 cents.
Hey, how do you estimate the market?
I never estimated the market. I just read an article today. What do you mean market, or what? For publishing? Our market or ICO market?
For publishers who are ready to publish your book.
What we did for our market research is we have reached out to authors and got their feedback, like not just will you publish or not, because for them it's kind of doesn't cost pretty much anything. It's like a few dollars for deployment of smart contract from our interface, right? And in general, they all say yes. We just wanted to understand how deep this yes is. Like, do we really solve their problem? And say, for example, one of their problems is that they never know how many copies they have sold on the platform. In blockchain, you can see immediately how many new tokens have been sold. So you know, oh, I sold 17,000, not just 3.5 as they tell me. So it also helps to open small platforms that do not need to prove that they're trustworthy, like Amazon, for example. Yeah, they can be small niche platforms, but everybody will trust them by the virtue of blockchain as being a trustless application. So we just figure out that every time we meet with an author, they have a different idea how this protocol can be used, and that's probably the best feature of protocols, that it's kind of multi-purpose. But each of these uses have been solving some of the problems that was painful, that felt painful for them. So we didn't really make a traditional analysis that we want to estimate it. Ebook market is a few $1 billion, and our initial investment of say 1 million is kind of, for us it seems a good, and for our contributors, a good enough bet to go for it. And also, currently we are still the first in the space, and I think first mover advantage in the world where the protocols are open source is very important. Okay, whom can I pass the mic? Any?
Can you elaborate on how you got the word out there and about your ICO and found people interested on it? Did you do like a promotion or kind of marketing?
Yeah. Marketing. We did pretty traditional marketing. We submitted our ICO to all ICO trackers. Majority of them are free. It's about 60 or 70 and like new ones appearing every day. Some of them charge 1 Ether, some ask for 10,000, like Cointelegraph. So we submitted something like 50 ICO trackers. And then we set up retargeting campaigns, and we started to target audiences in Facebook. We played a bit with Google Display Network, but then we canceled that. Then we, of course, what I think matters most for companies like ours that do not have like $500,000 for marketing, and we didn't want to burn pre-sale money in the advertising, because normally you do a pre-sale, you get 200,000, and you just go hard on banners. We decided, okay, we'll just keep this money. We rather invest it in the product if we reach our soft cap. So I think the best about marketing, you have to have a product that will get an attention of the community of influencers. A case of one ICO from the same country, they told that they got like a spike of few $100,000 after mention of their project by a high-level influencer. So I think that's, in my personal opinion, that's the best, instead of just doing like mass outreach. And then you also get the type of people who invest maybe $30, $50, $100, maybe a few ethers at best. They do this kind of spray and pray, yeah? So they just, okay, website looks good, some people real, let's invest $50. Maybe it will be 5,000 after some time. And if you and that's also kind of very healthy for the market, because then your idea kind of is supposed to be really innovative.
Hi. Do you consider public ICO a success? If yes, then what are the key points which led to that? And if no, then what are the things that you would do differently?
For me personally, it's a very big personal success. I have learned so much and changed so much as a person during the process. It's very refreshing. Like I used to work in a very stable environment, but ICO, that's your personal success if you run it hard. What I would do differently is definitely I would reach out to the people who were interested in August, in September. I would reach them immediately for contribution, instantly. I wouldn't even spend like money on marketing and just gather this database. You just subscribed, I reach out to you with a private sale. Whatever would it be, $100 or 100,000. I think I would spend honestly more time on understanding the ins and outs of ICO value creation, because we realized that we have to focus on protocol rather on the applications and platforms quite late. And I think that was the reason why some institutional investors, they skipped our project. So we had some interviews, some calls, some follow-ups, some analysis, but it never converted. Now it feels different. Once we change the concept, we are getting larger contributions, and also hopefully we will pitch in Switzerland on this decentralized conference on Tuesday in front of blockchain investment consortium. So concerning reaching our hard cap, that's clearly not a success, because we raised a bit more than $250,000. But all the contributors all know we don't want refunds. Please keep the money, go forward. We want this project to go live. We will refund, of course. I mean, by our terms and conditions, we will to those who want. But everybody tells, no, we don't want refund. We want you to work and make this project live. And I think this is success, because we could come up with an idea that got financial and moral support of the community. And I think that's really what makes your ICO different, is that you spend a lot of time with people talking, and you pretty much have a community of supporters before you even started to code anything. I think that's, for me, that was probably the most the most amazing things in all the process.
I have a question. What is your legal structure and why? And second question is about the token. Do you have a backup plan if something goes wrong with the Ethereum? Mm-hmm. Like there is a lot of the debate on scaling issue. and all this stuff? Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Legal structure currently is just generally a fruit of imagination of lawyers because there are no laws which would really govern ICO. Specifically, we have reached out to lawyers in Singapore, Switzerland, and Gibraltar, and stopped with Gibraltar. It was relatively fast, only 2 months. Relatively less costly, only $37,000, and relatively reliable. Important thing about your legal structure is that if you would sell your tokens to residents or citizens of US, then even if they bought them in Philippines or Lithuania or in Latvia, yeah, right? Well, US legislation still kind of fights for them. They still protect them, and they have a legal right to come to you and tell that, well, according to their laws that you don't know in Latvia, what you have sold is a security, and you didn't register this sale with them, so you have to pay a fine or maybe even some other criminal charges. So that's the most important thing, because it involves kind of prosecution if you land in US. Like Bitcoin exchange owners, they had great life, ignored US laws, and they land in the US and they invited to speak in court. So Gibraltar or Switzerland or maybe Isle of Man, you are not really breaking their laws, you are compliant to their laws by issuing this token. They qualify you, oh, it's really a utility token, very good, go forward, you comply. But it's not just important to comply with the legislation of the jurisdictions you are issuing tokens, but to comply with legislation of jurisdictions of your customers. Well, only US is really a pain. They have a strong enforcement framework. The others are fine, still, I mean, yet. Important thing also about ICO, we have been running a technology platform for some ICOs in US, and their teams are leaving the country. Because in the same also for Publica, our co-founder actually went to Gibraltar. Because otherwise, why you really tell that you did a token sale from Gibraltar if you coded a contract and deployed it from Latvia? Then
Basically living in Gibraltar.
sorry?
He's living there now?
No, you don't need really to live there, but you have to be there a reasonable amount of time to qualify as a Gibraltar issuer, because otherwise you can register anywhere, and if you don't really physically present there as a director or doing some, I mean, you can do marketing from anywhere because that's a kind of another agreement. But the real sale of tokens, say assignment to the wallet, ideally it's done from the country where you are domiciled as an entity. About Ethereum, the whole existence of PBL token is to kind of isolate the protocol from the blockchain, so it makes it easy to transform to anything else. So we really not in the position to assess viability of Ethereum as a long-term blockchain, but we have did some precautions that would allow us to port it and to migrate to another blockchain if there would be a necessity. I think I'm running out of time, right?
Well, thank you very much, Antons, for providing the insights, and we wish you